Hello and welcome to the Runners World podcast with me, Rick Pearson.
And me, Ben Hobson.
This week we're speaking with endurance athlete Sean Conway, who's just completed 105 Ironman triathlons in 105 days.
It's up there, Rick, as one of the best, I reckon.
I think it is. I'm struggling to think of a more impressive multi-day endurance achievement.
Just the time, preparation, execution.
Yeah,
factors that you have to take in for 3 disciplines rather than, like, say, just the one big running event.
No, it's extraordinary, and to not get injured or to not stop. Presumably that there was injury along the way, but to carry on for that. I mean, it's like over 3 months, isn't it? And Ironman every day for over 3 months.
Yeah, it's bonkers.
It's mad.
But he did it, and that's what he does, because he's built like that, Sean. He's got that drive to do these things, and it's incredible.
Hey, look, bit of science for you, Ben.
Oh, I love it.
Here we go. This is a new study that said it's better to be a weekend warrior than no warrior at all. So I think, historically we've probably slagged off the weekend warrior, haven't we? It's sort of like slightly gung-ho type who kind of crams in a week's training into sort of Saturday, maybe Sunday. But it turns out it's all good. Training's all good. You need to be a bit careful, obviously. But in terms of your heart health, where you fit in your 150 minutes per week of moderate to vigorous exercise, it doesn't really make too much of a difference. So you could just do 1 to 2 weekend bursts or more regular activity throughout the week. You're going to achieve the same heart-related benefits. So,
good. Okay, so this is all tied in with heart health. Got it. So if you do your set number of minutes, prescribed minutes, any time of the week, you're going to get a benefit from a cardio point of view, cardiovascular point of view.
So if you've only got 2 days where you can exercise, then go for it. Then.
We all need healthy hearts. That's important. There we go. Good. That was a nice bit of science. I like that a lot.
Yeah, little slice of science for you.
Well, we do worry. Sometimes you do worry as runners. Sometimes if you're not running every other day or something, you get in the habit of it, and then you might have a little worry that you're going to lose fitness or something. But you can if it's just counting through the minutes, keep the heart going. Fantastic.
Yeah. Hey, look, how's your own running been going, Ben?
Yeah, it's good. Everything seems to be going okay. I've had quite a sort of stint of what people would refer to as sort of, I don't know, junk or unstructured or whatever. It's been lovely, but today I sort of went back to some easy intervals to try and sort of regain a bit of structure to some training. So that was good. I'm glad to have sort of done that. I've lost quite a lot of fitness, but that was inevitable. Yeah. And so I don't know really. I might try and line something up race-wise for towards the end of the year. Not sure what, but it kind of feels like there needs to be something now rather than just going out and running.
Keep yourself honest with a little challenge.
Little challenge. How's your 10-mile prep going?
It's going okay. I was back on the track again this weekend. Which I'm doing slightly longer, just adding a few reps basically. So trying to be sensible about it. And been running in a pair of ASICS spikes that don't have actual removable spikes on them. So that's been quite interesting.
Like these nice sort hybrid. Of like plastic molded.
Yeah, kind of like little plastic molded. They've got a plate in them, but they're like ever so slightly less aggressive than running in a classic spike. So I think for like a dad returning to the track, quite an appropriate shoe choice.
It's sort of saving your calves a little bit or something like that.
So that's it. So I've been doing that. I've been doing sweet stuff. I've been lifting heavy weights twice a week. So that's been good. Probably the bit that's missing is probably a bit more 10-mile specific session in the week. And I'm probably, if I'm honest, ducking it a little bit. Just because it's probably going to be a little bit unpleasant. So that needs to go in there.
Some mile repeats, basically.
Probably like 6-minute mile repeats, isn't it? Just often I just think, you know what?
I won't do that.
I'll just go out for a jog instead. So that's what I need to get my head around, obviously. But I'm enjoying it, mate. Yeah, there's some variety, and I think that's what's been nice about the track stuff is it just gives. It's more like kind of, I guess I'm broadening the speeds I'm running at. So I guess I'm kind of polarizing training a bit more, and actually that's actually enjoyable because it's variety, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And it's always nice to sort of take on a new approach or a new challenge, all aiming for a similar goal, but just to sort of approach it ever so slightly differently, just to sort of gauge how the body responds and all those sorts of things.
Exactly. But that's it. I say what I haven't been doing. I haven't been doing an Ironman every day, Ben, for 105 days. And I'm not about to either. I'm not the guy who's going to beat this challenge, although Sean does suggest that he thinks it is beatable.
He actively encourages people to try and beat it. So listen to him talk about it. And if it tickles some sort of mysterious wanderlust in you or whatever to go and, tickles a funny bone in your body that makes you think, I could do that. Then go and
off you go.
Off you go. Sean's willing to help, so have a listen. See if you're equally inclined to feats of great endurance, and this could be you.
Guest of the week, here in the studio. Guest of the week, sometimes on the phone. Could be an athlete, could be a physio, or a complete unknown.
For most people, completing an Ironman is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Swim 2.4 miles, cycle 112, run 26.2 and get a terrible tattoo. You know the drill. But for Sean Conway, that wasn't nearly enough. The endurance athlete decided to complete 105 Ironman triathlons in 105 days. And he's here to tell us how on earth he did it. So Sean, welcome to the Runs Well podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm currently planning 105 dodgy tattoos somewhere.
Oh, imagine. I mean, that would cover the body. It'd be incredible.
Yeah, I know. How am I? I don't know. It's been a week since I finished and I haven't quite worked out what's going on. I'm sort of back in real world, but not really. I don't know. It's definitely not sunk in. I'm sort of still knackered. And yeah, it's just weirdly feels like two things. It feels like I did it like months ago. This last week has taken forever. And B, it's just sort of, my memory of it is so hazy because I was so sort of knackered the whole time. I'm sitting here going, what actually happened?
Right.
So I think it'll take some time for it to all digest. For me, it kind of feels like, I can imagine if you won the lottery, you'd probably spend the first week going, did I really actually win?
Am I that rich now?
Yeah. And that sort of for me also feels the same. I've sort of felt like I've won the lottery in endurance sport, and now I'm sitting back going, but hell, did I did that right? Wow, geez, because I was so focused on it, on the end goal. The blinkers were on, and I had to be so ultra focused on, ticking every single box every single day in order to make it to the next day, that it sort of went by me quite quickly, even though it felt like it took forever. So, yeah, there's a lot of conflicting emotions and things going on right now. So, I don't
know. How's the body holding up? Because I imagine if you make it do those distances again and again and again, it must be sort of in a mild state of panic or shock right now.
Yeah, it was the first couple of days. So I finished on a Sunday. Monday, Tuesday, I felt great. I was like, damn it, I should have carried on. And I wanted to carry on. But, and I don't know if you watched the end. I got the record at 102. And then I knew I wanted to do 103 because I wanted to see what my body would do, doing one, not having to do one. Because up till 102, I had to do it to break the record. And now I just wondered what 103 would be like, and actually my body felt pretty good. And then I got Instagram to vote whether I should do 104 or not. And 71% of Instagram obviously hates me, so they said do 104. So I did the 104th day, and then I flipped coin to see if I should do 105. And the coin said yes, so I said heads, I carry on, tails, I pull out. So I did 105, and then I flipped the coin again because I felt good enough that I could definitely continue, and I had numbers printed up to 123 because I just thought, I don't know, that's a cool number to maybe end on, and also it was part of my process to visualize the fact, if before I even started, I already thought I was going to go further, then I'm in a better attitude. I'm sort of manifesting the concept right early on that I was even going to smash it through the record. So I did that. But then I also have 2 young kids and Caroline, who was solo parenting for 3.5 months. So I thought, right, well, I'm just going to let the coin decide. And then on 105, the coin said, go home and be a dad. So I listened to the coin. And now it means I can sit here going, well, I didn't quit, the coin told me.
The coin told me.
Yeah, so... so that's, that was sort of where I got to. So as I said, so the first 2 days I was fine, and then come Wednesday, I think my body's finally realised, oh well, you're not doing this anymore. Like, let's shut down mode. And just been so tired. I tried to do a Joe Wicks yesterday and nearly died. Even walking up the stairs, my body's just fully given up, and it's a weird feeling because I've never felt like this before, where in my head, like, I'm motivated to try and keep the fitness because I've done, 90 hours of zone 1, zone 2 training a week for 3.5 months. So, I must have some sort of base fitness, which I'd like to keep. So I'm motivated to try and do it. But if I do anything at the moment, I'm just poked. Absolutely.
I think you're definitely entitled to a bit of a rest, Sean. I think if anyone on the planet is entitled to like kind of a down week, I think that's fair enough. Can you give us a sense into like how this broke down? So like, tell us about how the day works when you're doing an Ironman. Like, what's it look like, and how long is it taking? How are you fueling? All that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I eventually got down to a pretty specific routine. My days became almost identical, down to the food I ate, how much I drank. There's slight variations here and there, but mostly. So I'd get up at 4:29 a.m. It was originally 4:34, if I remember, or 4:33. But I found I was getting in the pool at 1 minute past 5 or 2 minutes past 5, and I just hated that. Like, I felt I'd lost the day already by getting in after 5. Yeah, even though it doesn't really matter. You can claw back 20 minutes on your feed stations, really, if you were clever. So, yeah, 4:29 meant I pretty much got in the pool at 1 minute to 5 every day, or 5 o'clock. So I felt like I'd won the day. So that was a good way to start. So on the way to the pool, so I'd get up literally, Justin, who was doing social media, was staying with me. He was getting my porridge and chia seed, sort of in quite liquidy porridge that I could drink out of a bottle rather than having to spoon it in, and I'd drink that on the way to the pool, and then that was 800 mils, so nearly a litre of liquid. On the way to the pool, which had about 800 calories, and then I literally go into the pool. I go to the toilet without fail. So I was quite lucky. I got into a routine of going to the loo before, then start the swim at 5 o'clock, and then on an average day, I was getting out the pool at around 20 past 6 ish. So it's roughly within 5 minutes either side is sort of my swim time. I had a really good day where I finished at sort of 10 past 6, because I may have got in the pool earlier, and a really bad day where I finished at 6:35. So I then T1 would be pretty quick, probably 12 to 15, 16, 17 minutes on a bad day, straight onto the bike from the pool, and then from there head down to do. So it was about, let me get this right, I'm trying to work out. So it was about 40k or 35k to the feed stop, where I'd start the loops, and then I'd have a feed stop at 50k, 90k, 140k, and that was it. So 3 feed stops, and I'd also eat on the bike. So at each feed stop I was stopping about 10 minutes. Then straight up to the run. Again, run transition was a little slower normally because I was quite tired, and it was quite hot for May and June. So that was often around 20 minutes for T2. Straight onto the run, and then I did 2 laps. So I did 23.5k lap and then a 19k lap, and then back to the same spot where I've sort of the central point, which was this gym that allowed us to use their facilities, which was very kind of them. And the goal would be try to finish by 7 o'clock, but on a bad day it was nearly 10 o'clock at night, and on a good day it was sort of 20 past 6, I think, was the quickest I did it. And then straight home, eat some food, shower, hot bath, little bit of stretching, bit of rough and tumble with the kids, and in bed at 8:30. And then repeat that.
Busy day, Sean, isn't it? It's a packed schedule. Packed schedule.
I mean, you're obviously I'd say quite a meticulous man then in terms of how you've prepared, and you knew how your days were managed and all those sorts of things. What about managing your effort? Were you doing that on a data-driven premise? Were you sitting, like, as you said, zone 1 and zone 2? You couldn't allow yourself at any point to go above, I don't know, 120 BPM or something. However, how did you cope with the sort of that pure endurance all day long?
Yeah, so good question. Initially, it was based on heart rate and a little bit on power on the bike, but heart rate. I really didn't want my heart rate to spike above 120. That was the top end. I tried to keep it around 110, 115. And that meant, the trick is to get fit enough that with a heart rate of 110 or 115, you can still do a good time. And that's, what my focus on the training was, just trying to get so fit that when I bring it down to zone 1, I'm still doing, a 14-hour full iron, or 15 hours. So, and that started to happen. Towards the end, though, really my legs were the weakest link in the chain. I actually couldn't even push my heart rate above 120. The legs went way before that. So by the end, I was just running on my effort and looking at my splits, both on the bike and on the run. I eventually got quite a good gauge of where I should be on the course at different times. So each feed station, I'd get there and I'd be like, right, I'm either 5 minutes ahead or 5 minutes behind. I often wouldn't change anything, even if I was behind, because that's what my legs were giving me that day, and I didn't want to go into the red for the sake of 5 minutes, because the knock-on effect of that would be days potentially. So it was a lot of just managing the pain, really, because once I was in that deep fatigue stage from quite early on, really, it was just painful and sore, and when you just get that it was weird, like, because I had my lactic acid tested once during it, and my lactic acid was really low. The number was like 0.8 or something, but still I had that muscle burn, and I sort of need to speak to someone about that. I don't know really what that was, really, and it could have been a bit nutrition, although I was eating well. I only lost 3 kgs on the whole thing, and I lost them pretty steadily. I lost a kg a month, because I was, again, just nailing the nutrition, just trying to eat as much as possible. Downing lots of full-fat cream. That seemed to be the bulk of my calories in the day, because you can get a little tub. It's about a pint, really. Yeah, even less than a pint, I think. It's 3,500 calories, so
wow.
You can just down that.
Wow.
And you can do it in, like...
It's amazing.
Yeah, you can drink it in 30 seconds, So that sort of just really kept the weight on. I could have done with not losing that last kg, and also I went into it light. I didn't want to go in heavy because I didn't want to get injured on the run. I knew if I was running, so I went in at 70 and a bit kg, which is okay for me. It's a little heavy. I think 68 kg is probably my good race weight, but I thought 70 is fine. If I'd gone in at 73 or 4, I just would have risked more injury on the run, and I would have lost that within a week. So it sort of felt, for me, pointless going in heavy. So I didn't have much to lose anyway, but I was pretty happy with how the nutrition side worked out, really.
Yeah. You said earlier about kind of manifesting and this idea of 1, 2, 3 in your head. I'm interested in how you mentally keep it together, a challenge like this, because we talk about ultra marathons and say, it's 100 miles, but most people probably do that in a day, whereas you have to keep it together for over 100. So how on earth do you do that? And what have you learnt that other people maybe who are listening, who may want to take on a multi-day challenge, could apply to their own running? Yeah,
so one is you've got to really keep focused on why you're doing it. Why do you want it? And that's an unpopular opinion. A lot of people say, I don't do it for the records, but I definitely do it for the record. I want that. I do. I want to be the only person on the planet to have done something, and I like fighting for that, and I like chasing that record. I'm not very good at the journey, in life anyway. I'm terrible at going on holiday, because I just get bored and frustrated because I don't have something to chase. So, for me, that was super important. Raising money for the True Venture Foundation was super important. That was super high priority on me. So that is a motivating factor. And it's all these sort of, I say, dangle the carrots. What are the carrots? Your metaphorical carrots. Another one is just, trying to be a cool dad to my kids when they're a bit older. Although I've been reliably informed no teenage kids think their dads are cool, so I'm wasting my time there probably. But so I have lots of those really at the forefront of my mind, and it's part of my, one of my 10 pillars of endurance is motivation. What's motivating you to do it? Then the other thing is there's no windows in the room. There's no door in the room that I'm in. There's no plan B. Everything that I put in place is a non-negotiable. Getting up at 4:29 a.m. non-negotiable, and actually in the 105 days didn't question it once. My alarm went off, and I was just like, right, well, I get up now. I put clothes on. There's lots of things we do in life that's non-negotiable, like brushing your teeth, putting clothes on, that sort of thing. And I categorized almost everything that I did in the same thing. Yeah, a couple of times I failed. I had a non-negotiable of trying to drink a bottle on the bike per lap, but that always didn't happen because sometimes it was freezing cold and I didn't feel like drinking, and I wasn't sweating as much anyway. So I wasn't always good at it, but at least I tried to put them in place. But certainly the getting up and the doing the things every day, I knew that getting out of bed was very painful. Walking down the stairs was just even right up to the end. My ankles and feet and knees were just in severe pain, but I knew that once I was in the pool, the first couple 100 meters, and I'd be fine. So there's that. And then the other thing is I never celebrated any small wins throughout it. So I could have celebrated when I got to 21. I believe, and I think I'm right, I got the British record, at 21. Then when I got to 61, I got the European record, and I was then number 2 in the world after James Lawrence. And there was a couple of charity, when we raised 10 grand, for example, that could have been a win. And for me, the Warriors, at some point, you have so many wins in your back pocket that if something goes bad at day 80, you might go, oh, well, actually, I'm still the best in Britain, aren't I? I'm happy with that, so I can just pull the plug now because I've got something from it. I was very cautious and conscious that it was blinkers on to that finish line and nothing else mattered until I got there. And that sort of, for me, has worked, I guess. And 105 days is not the longest thing I've done, so it must be
you've got
working,
you've got history of these things, haven't you?
Yeah.
You should definitely rebrand that, because the guy you beat is called the Iron Cowboy, isn't he? But you could be the Iron Conway.
I could be, yeah.
Get that on the website. Go.
That'd be a real dig in at the last minute, wouldn't it? Steal his name.
Yeah, James is a good guy. He was.
Did you chat to him about it? Did he give you any pointers?
Yeah, there was good banter there. I remember even in training, I'd put my FTP up on the bike, and he'd say, "Oh, congratulations, mate! You're now as strong as my wife." There was good banter. I think there was a lot of people, and I've heard him say it as well, that he thought no one else would break the record. And when I sort of heard that on the internet, I was like, right, that's it. This record's got my name written all over it. Because I had the world's longest triathlon, and I'm the only person still to have done a length of Britain triathlon. And I've done 2 things longer than 100 days and 1 at 85 days. So I've hovered around this space for quite a long time. I remember thinking, yeah, this is definitely the next thing for me. And it's also the 4th record. So of all the types of records you can break in endurance, there's firsts, longests, fastest, and mosts. And I had a first, a furthest, or longest, a fastest, and I didn't have the 4th one, which was the most of something, the most number of something. So this one really seemed like the obvious choice, looking at everything I'd done before, and excited me a lot. And I really, from day one, knew I could do it. There was nothing. The 100 didn't scare me. Each discipline each day didn't scare me that much. Changing discipline does really throw a spanner in the works. But the only thing that did scare me a lot was on the 10th of April when I started. I knew that. I remember after sort of 10 days, I was still in April, and those are the worst 10 days of my life by a long way. And then I still had remembered, I've still got all of May, all of June, and most of July to get through before I finish. And that was the time where I suddenly realised, ooh, maybe I've not thought this through properly. So, but, just every day, I knew once I was in the pool fixes a lot of things. And I was sort of then able to just do the baby steps and hopefully keep the pace. Because that was the other issue. If you're not fit enough or strong enough or get injured, eventually your pace drops to a point where you just never get enough recovery. And then you just on the back of the wave fighting to stay within that 17-hour cutoff. And, hats off to James who got the injury on day 3, I think, of the run and had the stress fracture. Because he had to power walk with poles each marathon, 7 hours or something. It was, the resilience there was incredible. So I didn't want to land up in that situation. So I trained really hard, and I think with my experience over the years, I managed to stay on the front of the wave a little bit, which allowed me more recovery time, which then allowed me to stay at a decent enough time to repeat that over and over again.
This is the Runner's World podcast.
Do you think there's a ceiling to any of it? Do you think that, we're getting to a stage where you've done these incredible feats, people have swum around the country, people are, traveling across nations. How, is there a point where you think it's just going to get too much? The sort of scale of it's going to sort of diminish everything? Do you think that there's a possibility that the achievements are just too big?
They'll get bigger. In fact, someone will hopefully break my record. I really, by the end of it, I was confident enough to know that actually, if I just turned up each day, I could almost do these indefinitely. I think, barring a crash on the bike, and I don't know what other injuries I would have got really, because I wasn't pushing harder, so my heart rate was still low. I wasn't pushing any more power, so the risk of those injuries, my bone density was probably pretty good. I picked up a couple of niggles in my right hip at around day 60-something, which was extremely painful. And I struggled. That was the hardest bit. I sort of thought by day 60 I would have nailed everything in the bud, but there was just a misalignment, and my glutes were not firing and putting pressure on my lower back, my longus, which is sort of above your VMO, my hamstring, my IT band, just all on my right hand side. And also it had a lot to do with my swim pool, because of the cheese rolling that I did in 2009. I did my left shoulder in, so, and also my muscle memory from swimming when I swam the length of Britain, because of all the waves and because I didn't want chafe on the neck, I just developed this really stupid technique where I really over-roll to the right and breathe quite high up, because I had to, because of all the waves, and also I didn't want to get chafe, so I wasn't turning my neck. So I've got this real terrible style, which means my left arm drops really low in the water, which means my right arm's the big pull one, and then I sort of landed up getting a really tight lower back, which meant I was running a little bit on the side, and then that made my hip cave in a little bit, and it all just sort of, one thing leads to another. But really, I think I could have probably rolled it out forever, I think. And I think someone else will. I'm hoping. I feel like I would have done a bad job if no one else has a crack,
out of the park,
has a crack at the record.
As you say, you saw on the internet that someone said this is unbreakable, and it immediately drew your attention to, and you wanted to break it. And there's obviously people like-minded who will see what you've done and gone, I want a bit of that.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, I hope so, and I'll help them do it. I'll help them do it, which excites me a lot. It excites me more helping someone else break my record than me keeping it forever. I have no interest in keeping it forever. Like, records are there to be broken, and I feel I would have done a rubbish job if the story that comes out of this is, it's totally impossible. Sean's the only human on the planet that can do this. And I'm like, well, that's just not true. There's quite.
It is amazing though. I feel like I remember a while ago when Dean Karnazes did 50 marathons in 50 days, and I think the kind of
in 50 states as well.
It was 50 states, wasn't it? And you think you've done more than double that, and the marathon was only a third of what you had to do each day. So I think it is a particularly impressive endurance feat, I would say. Is there going to be a book off the back of it? Surely there'll be a book.
Yeah, there definitely will be a book. I don't know what the book will involve. I don't think there's a book that goes day 1 this happened, day 2 that happened, because it's
quite a samey book, isn't it, at that point?
Book, exactly. So I'm thinking there's the 10 pillars of endurance, which I've sort of worked out. If you tick all these 10 boxes, which is planning, fitness, experience, health, food, water, sleep, muscle management, motivation, and community. If you can nail all those boxes, then you should be able to complete an ultra endurance challenge of your own. So I think I might tie in Iron 105 with these 10 pillars in some sort of book that doesn't come across as a endurance self-help book. I don't want that. And even the word pillars I hate. I might change something else to pillars. I don't know. I don't like that word.
I like how water's got its own. I like that. That's that.
Water,
why did you give water its own one?
Well, hydration. Hydration is huge. My appetite depended on my hydration, my performance, how much salt I needed. That's part of the hydration strategy. And I might call it hydration. Probably sounds better, actually.
I like water. I think it really drinks.
Well, I like water as well.
Everyone should drink their water.
Absolutely,
that's good.
Yeah.
I was going to say, is it too early to think about the next thing? Is it? I'm not sure if your family will be keen on this conversation.
No, I know Caroline is incredible. I really want to. So I'd also quite like to find a female athlete or anyone who wants to get the female record, and I'd like to mentor them and help them. And my wife is actually registered interest in that, which I think is amazing. She's an amazing swimmer, and she came and ran a marathon a week with me for the last 8 weeks with no training at all. So she can run. She just needs to work a little bit on her speed on the bike, but she'll be a good rider. We met cycling, and she did the Fred Whitten together in the Lake District, which is a hard one. And how cool would that be, husband and wife having the male and female record? So
amazing.
Yeah,
the kids will be absolutely terrorised by this pair of you. It's just there's no escaping.
We'll be that kids, Daddy and Mummy once had and they'll be like, shut up, Dad, the record's now 500 by that Kiwi guy. So I'd like to focus a little bit on that. I'm volunteering full-time almost for the foundation that I raised money for, the True Venture Foundation, to get kids into sport, and keep them in sport, and finding avenues for them to pursue sport outside of school, which is quite hard. So I think I'm going to do that for the next year or two, and then no doubt get itchy feet again and think of something else. So for now, I don't know, because also I don't know which of the 3 disciplines I want to focus on, if any.
Running, obviously.
Yeah,
Sean,
I do like running. It's I'm 42 now, and it's the one that I could get better at with age for the ultra stuff. But I also fancy a couple of sort of continuous triathlons. So like they're doing the continuous triple. So you're the 7.5 mile swim, the 330 mile ride, and then the 75-mile run at the end. That excites me a lot at the moment. But every time I try and do a Joe Wicks, or I did a watt bike session the other day as well, it nearly killed me. So I'm thinking, well, maybe I just have to rest up for a little
time. Take a little time off, Sean. Yeah. Thanks so much for coming on the Run As Well podcast, talking about your amazing Ironman challenge. Huge congratulations. I think it really is particularly extraordinary thing to have achieved. If people want to find out more about you or the challenge or True Venture, where can they go?
Yeah, if you just follow me on Instagram, Sean Conway Adventure, or just search my name, Sean Conway. Everything will be on Instagram, or seanconway.com is links to that. I've just uploaded all my splits, all my times for every single day. Swim time, T1 time, bike time, T2 time, run time, total time. So if anyone's interested in that, it's on my website. And just thank you to everyone who supported me throughout the challenge and donated to the charity. It really boosted my morale when times were tough, which was every day. Times were tough. So
sounds like there was zero respite. So I imagine it was tough the whole time.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, I was even sacrificing showers in the first week. I'd come home, get a bit of physio, eat, and just fall straight into bed, sweaty and dirty from the run. because I didn't want to. I wanted 15 minutes more sleep than showering. So it was only after the first week I thought, right, maybe I should. I'm not sleeping so well now with sweat all over me. So
whoever owned the swimming pool was furious. They were like, "This guy is absolutely ruining the pool."
Oh no, it's now a saltwater pool, I guess.
Thank you so much,
again, Sean. Thanks for coming on. Yeah,
anytime, guys. Thank you very much.
So that brings us to the end of this week's Runners World podcast. A huge thanks to our special guest Sean Conway, and to you, of course, for listening.
You can subscribe to 3 issues of Runners World for just £5. Head to runnersworld.com/UK/podcast offer to get this exclusive listener offer. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, share it amongst your friends. If you're on a WhatsApp group with a running club, put a link to it there. And then, because everyone, particularly this episode, they all might want to hear how Sean got on. So yeah, thanks again.
Great tips.
Great tips. Thanks again. You'll hear from us next week.